And as stick contour, liquid contour, or shading contour, I would say that either stick contour or shading contour. For beginners, I would recommend, and once you know this tip, you're not going to do your makeup the same again. Hi hearties! So, I hear that you've been having trouble doing your eye makeup. Well, this video is going to show you the perfect tips and techniques you need to get a perfect monolid eye makeup look. It's going to be super detailed and we're going to go step by step to give you a look that makes your eyes look bigger and prettier. Hearties, this is for you guys, so I hope you follow along and learn some useful tips in the process. Let's go! When you apply foundation, a tip is to make sure you put down a thin layer of foundation on your eyelids as well. Monolids tend to have a lot of eyelid space, so it's easy for us to have redness or uneven spots to show up without knowing. The foundation will give us a clean base so that the colors we put down later show up accurately and don't compete with the different color. I normally don't use eye primer, but I recommend Urban Decay's primer if you're looking for one. If you have oily skin or you notice some shine on your eyelids, you can take some setting powder and lightly set the eyelids for a matte look. Don't worry about it looking too flat. We'll add the shine back in later with a highlighter. Now, let's contour our eyelids. Start from the place where you naturally have the most shadows. This is the spot in between eyebrows and nose. And as stick contour, liquid contour, or shading contour, I would say that either stick contour or shading contour are the easiest to use for beginners, just because liquid is better for when you're using contour on large surfaces of your face, like you're contouring your jawline, your jawbone, or your forehead. And when you're doing the smaller parts of contour like your nose or the insides of your eyes, this is where the thinner details of the stick contour or your brush when you're using the palette will be easier to use. So I recommend these two starting out for beginners. So when you pick a color to contour, you want to make sure you're going for one that's muted and desaturated. So find something that's like a natural beige brown, but what you definitely want to avoid is making sure that you pick a brown that has too much red in it, because that's going to accentuate the puffiness of our monolids and it's going to look very unnatural when we try and use that to contour the shadow over here. Tip: once you have your color, don't go straight in. Swipe the brush in the contour and then tap the excess off so it has the right amount of color for our eyelids. Next, hold the brush at a 45-degree angle and swipe lightly. Sweep the brush underneath your eyelids and brow bone to deepen the shadow. Don't worry if it seems too light. The change needs to be subtle but noticeable. Having deeper shadows here makes your eyes seem more deep set and three-dimensional, bringing attention to them. Okay, so now that our eyes seem less puffy, let's move on to eyeshadow. And what we're going to do is we're going to enlarge our eyes both vertically and horizontally. To start, I like to take a light tan color and sweep it across my eyelids to make it overall darker. I'll also take more color and go over it at my eyeline to make a guideline for where to apply the darker eyeshadow color later. Now, let's move on to our shadow color. Take a dark brown and shade only the hidden part of our eye fold. Tip: if you don't know how to find the hidden part, you can use a sharp brush to make a guide dot and see where you need to shade from the hidden sides, front, middle, and end, and connect them with eyes closed. Thanks to our tan color, we can blend it out to form a natural gradient. Finally, use eyeshadow to continue your eye length and make a guideline for our eyeliner later. And for a tip, take that dark brown color that we used earlier and pay special attention to lining the front of our eyes like this. So you want to just lightly dot there and sort of trace along our eyes. And this is basically what eyeliner does to extend it, except with this, we're extending the inner corner of our eye. So if you compare before and after, you can see like it's a really small difference, but it's huge in making your eyes look bigger, more defined, and more three-dimensional. And I'm going to blend it up with my existing eyeshadow so it looks like a more natural transition. And we're also going to add color here, so there's a gradient where it goes dark, light, and then dark as well, in addition to the dark to light vertical gradient that we did. Now it's time for eyeliner. I know this part can be super difficult, but I promise I'm going to show you how you can get a flawless natural extension every single time. And once you know this tip, you're not going to do your makeup the same again. First, find the highest part of your eye. Next, find where your eye ends and follow it out to a slightly longer spot to extend it. Use the angle from where your nose ends and your eye ends to find where your eyeliner should be. I highly recommend the Judydoll eyeliner for this because it has an extra thin tip compared to other liners. If you mess up the line or you need to correct it by going over, the thin tip makes it way easier to do that than when you're using another brand. Next, make sure to connect it to the inner part of your eye by filling it in. And another tip is that if you're unsure exactly where it goes and you want to practice, then just take a brush with a thin angled tip like this one or this one. A brush like this that's meant for details, and then just use a dark brown eyeshadow to trace out the wing where you think you want it to go. And even if you mess up because it's only eyeshadow, you can just blend it out or use some concealer to cover it up. And then you can go back in with your eyeliner following the template that you've already drawn out with your eyeshadow. Another thing that's worth considering is that black eyeliner tends to be the most popular, but brown eyeliner is also pretty underrated. It makes it seem more natural because it's less noticeable, and it's also easier to kind of blend in some mistakes if you are a beginner just starting out. So if you're looking for options, I would definitely recommend looking into getting a brown eyeliner in addition to a black eyeliner. There's also 3 different types of eyeliner. So there's gel eyeliner, there's pencil eyeliner, and there's liquid eyeliner. For beginners, I would recommend liquid liner, even though it is probably the hardest to start out with, just because for the wing part where you draw it out, liquid liner has been the best in my experience to be able to get a long-lasting color and to be able to get really sharp and defined lines. But I would recommend gel eyeliner actually for when you want to tightline your eyes and go underneath the inside of your eyes here, because I find that it actually seems to be a lot smoother and easier to work with than the pencil eyeliner that I've tried in the past. Which look like this. So this is what these two look like. This is pencil eyeliner and this is gel. But of course, you know, this is all based off your personal preference. So everybody has something different that works for them, which is totally fine. Right now, our eyeliner looks a bit too obvious. So we're going to blend it in using eyeshadow and using a dark brown to blend the boundary. Tip: if you want to make it thicker, use eyeshadow to thicken the line and bring the gradient up instead of drawing on more eyeliner. The under eye is really important because it can play 2 roles. It can help us balance our facial proportions by making it seem like our eye extends longer downwards, and it can make our eye seem more 3-dimensional without looking fake. Here we're going to use either a dark brown eyeshadow or a dark red eyeshadow. So we want them to match the color of our face or the colors of our eyes. And the dark red in this case matches the inside of your eyes, dark red, and the dark brown just matches the shadows around our eyes. What you can do if you're starting out at home is just take a small angled detail brush like this and then dip it into that dark brown and trace along your eyes. But what you can also do if you want to speed up some time is you can get a gel eyeliner pen that is specially made for lower eyeline lining. So I recommend Lily by Red's gel eyeliner, which I'm using right now. It's in the shade 05, but I think in the US shade 19 Misty Fig is probably the closest you find to it. And you can also use BBIA's gel eyeliner in the shade 13 Peanut Beige, which is a really natural brown that doesn't pull too warm or too cold on most people. And the reason these eyeliners in particular are really good is that both of them haven't really smudged or moved a lot whenever I've tried them and I had them on for long hours, and the color looks super natural and doesn't look out of place at all. And so I think they're just really convenient. It helps you save some time, especially if you don't have a color that matches exactly what you're looking for and you just need that one color instead of wanting to buy a whole new palette to find it. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and then we're just gonna go underneath. And instead of going right on the eyeline here where our eye is delicate, you just want to think of it as you're actually tracing it. You're drawing an outline. So this is the base, but you don't need to follow it exactly. You just want to go underneath it and use small strokes to map it out. And we're going to draw this in particular out to where we extended our eyeliner. And so you can see there's already a massive difference, but I would especially pay attention to bringing the inner corner of your eye down, because you can see that with my eyes, it actually slopes down a little bit. And if you just put some attention to straightening that out like this, so a lot of people skip this, but if you fill in the inner part of our eye where our eye dips, it makes a massive difference because it just straightens out the line of our eyes and makes it seem bigger without being very fake. Now, we'll fill in this triangular empty zone below our wing, but we're going to do it naturally by blending out the color we already put with the brush. Now, let's do eyeshadow. Use the same brown we used for eyeshadow earlier with a sharp angled brush. You can find it by smiling and lining where your eye naturally folds over like this. You don't need to draw it all in one stroke. Use small strokes to get a precise result by taking your time. Use a bright color underneath your eye, then contour underneath to finish the eyeshadow. Apply a light highlight to the inside of eyes and to the eyeshadow. Instead of a big chunky glitter, choose a fine shimmery eyeshadow or a fine shimmer highlighter so it looks like the natural glow of our skin. Swipe some highlighter on the middle of our eyelids to give it some dimension, and same goes for our eyeshadow. Swipe highlighter in the middle of our eyelids using either your finger or a brush to make it stand out and give it depth. So with monolids, our lashes tend to be way down because our eyelids are so puffy and they have so much weight. So you can see that, for example, my eyelashes are going just downwards. And I'm going to be honest, lashes do make a huge difference for us in opening up our eyes and making them look bigger, but they're also a lot of work. So sometimes I just leave it at this and I call it a day, and that is perfectly fine because remember that makeup is just for you and how you want to look, so there's no need to do lashes if you don't want to do them. But if you do want to learn how to do them, here's how we're going to do it. I'm using the Philly Millie heated eyelash curler, which uses electrical heat to push the lashes up. Then pull up your eyelids and get your curler close to the root. Note, your curler shouldn't pinch your skin. If it keeps doing that, then it might not be suited to your eyelid shape. Try the Shiseido curler or the Muji curler. I've personally tried both of them and I think they work pretty well on Asian eyes. Go multiple times. This is going to take a little bit, so be prepared to be patient since our lashes take a while to curl up. Once they're curled, use mascara to push them up. Take your mascara and go vertically and down in a zigzag pattern. We can also curl our lower lashes to draw more attention down and balance our eyes. Okay, so here's the before and here's the after. I'm gonna be right back. Let me just do my other eye real quick. Okay, so speed run. Falsies. Falsies are super fun and they really help, especially if you don't have very thick eyelashes like I do. Falsies are just an easy way to put lashes on and get an immediate eye-opening effect. The downside is it does feel pretty heavy on your eyelids and it can get noticeable if you wear them for a really long time. And so tips if you're choosing falsies, get ones with the black band, not a transparent band, because that's going to show up better on our eyelids. And also make sure that the ones you get already have a pre-made curl, because for our lids, they need to curl up very high to get over our lids. So if you get one that's like a more natural eyelash version, that is fine, but just make sure you notice how much curl it has, because a lot of times lashes that are in a more natural style don't really have any curl at all. So when you put them on, you have to use mascara and you have to tweeze them up to get the result that you want instead. Okay, let's talk natural lashes. So if your lashes aren't naturally long enough or thick enough for the results that you want and the effects you want, I would recommend using a lash serum. These do work, but you need to be very careful and make sure you do your research, because there are some lash serums out there that use certain chemicals that will actually over time take away your eye fat at the same time as they lengthen your lashes. Again, with these kinds of serums, it's sort of like some people never get this effect. They just have their eyelashes grow longer. Other people do, and they notice, you know, that their eyes don't look as thick as they did before, or there's just been a change. Some people actually want this effect, but just make sure you do your research before you purchase whatever brands that you're interested in. Personally, right now, I'm using the Etude House My Lash Serum, and I do feel like it's worked and it has made my eyelashes longer in the 2 to 3 months that I've been using it. I've seen online other people really like the Benton Eyelash Serum and the Cosnori Eyelash Serum, and I believe both of those have been confirmed that they don't have the specific ingredient that can sometimes remove eye fat along with lengthening lashes. So I would recommend to go and check out those kinds of brands if you are interested in purchasing a lash serum to grow out your natural lashes. Okay, contact lens. Yes, monolids can wear contact lens. It is a little harder for us to put it in, or I know that I struggled a lot with figuring out how to put it in, but I did figure it out in the end. And if you're interested, I can do a video on how to put in contact lens for monolids, or about how to apply falsies and clusters for you guys if you're interested. So just comment if you are. My tips for contact lens are, if you want them because you think that your eyes look weird without them, don't. Right now, I don't have any contact lens on, and this is my natural eye pupil size. What I would recommend is just take a serious look. I think for a lot of monolids, like the size of our natural pupil is already pretty big, so it balances out the eye white space that I have naturally available. This also is, of course, because my eye size isn't that big in the first place, so it may be different for you, but just take a look, and if you see that the ratio between your pupil size and your eye white size is around 50-50, 60-40, whatever it is, then you can know that in real life you are definitely fine. Nobody is going to be looking at you thinking that your pupils look too weird or that your eyes don't look smaller than they should. So that's not an insecurity that you need to be worried about. However, if you want to use contact lens just to try different colors, to change it up, to get a specific makeup look, then by all means go for it. Just be safe and make sure you purchase from reputable suppliers and reputable brands, because the last thing that you want to do is accidentally scratch your cornea and have to spend, you know, $50,000 to get a surgery or to permanently damage your vision. So have fun, be safe. I love lenses too, and I would love to do a future video where I talk about my favorite contact lenses. So fingers crossed that comes out. And last but not least, safety. So if you heard about any of the products I mentioned in this video and were interested in checking them out for yourself, or if you were just interested in buying some new makeup products or skincare products, please be safe when you're buying online and go either to the brand's official website or go to an established retailer like Olive Young, Yes Style, Stylevana that specialize in delivering you these kinds of beauty and skincare products. I would not recommend Amazon. I would be very, very careful about buying anything from Amazon that goes on your face, because their policy is that they can take the same product and put them all in the same bin regardless of manufacturer, which means that it's easy to get a fake product that is made with ingredients or in a formulation that's different from the original manufacturer's recipe. And worst case scenario, that could end up, you know, seriously damaging your health. Best case scenario, it doesn't have the results you were looking for, so you just waste your money. So I would highly recommend just be careful, guys, and look out for yourself when you're buying these kinds of products. Okay, thank you so much for watching, hearties, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, this is meant to be a guide that helps you in your day-to-day routine, so if you don't get it right off, then replay this video until you get the tips and techniques I show and you know how to do it on your own. I know you can do it. I believe you. Love you guys, and I'll see you next video. Bye!